Okay, on this step we're gonna see how we should be starting and stopping WebLogic and the content server. We'll also do the last post-installation configuration to get a content server up and running for you. I will show you how to run it for the first time, how to start and stop content server, and how to enable the components. It's very different in 11G. Let's get started. You see the WebLogic for the new we created a domain in the previous step, and the WebLogic is now running. What we need to do now is we need to start the managed server within the WebLogic so we can access for the first time. You need to browse to the domain to start your content server. Domains are created under your middleware home, which is C Oracle middleware by default. Domains are created under a directory called user projects / domains, and this is the domain that we created called ECM base. Domain that we created here. You go to the bin directory for the domain, and you use the script to start it for Windows, and this is the script that you use for Unix. Start managed WebLogic. Okay, let's bring up the command prompt here. Copy that path. Just say cd and just type start managed weblogic.cmd. That script takes one parameter, is the name of the actual server that we want to start. I can actually give you the name of the server from documentation. It is UCM server 1, UCM underscore server 1, but I will also show you where the server name is coming from. And you don't have to guess, and especially this is true because the server name is case sensitive, so it's important to get it right, and it's important to know where it's coming from. Let's bring up the WebLogic console for a second. We'll start the Internet Explorer here, and just say HTTP VPC server port 7001 / console. Port 7001 is the default port where WebLogic is listening on, and the actual admin server for WebLogic, and the console is the console for the WebLogic server. When you start it for the first time, it takes a little, like probably about a minute to deploy the console. Everything is deployed on the first run. But after the deployment, you'll get that screen. The username is the username that we were specifying during the domain installation after WebLogic, and after the UCM. So default is WebLogic, and the password is the one that we specified in the domain creation wizard. Click on login, and we click on the servers. This is all the information for this WebLogic domain. You have two servers. You have admin server, it's the one that you're logged into right now, port 7001, and it's running. And you have the UCM server 1, that's the actual content server. It's currently shut down. And if you go to control, you can start and shut down the servers. UCM server 1, you will not be able to start and shut down from the console until you do some additional configuration. So let's start with the script. Once again, the name of the server is UCM underscore server 1. Server 1 is lowercase, UCM is uppercase. Typing it up in the script and starting the server. And now while the server is starting, some magic is happening in the background. If you see on the servers here, this is the directory, and that directory will be populating right before our eyes right now. If you refresh it, okay, nothing happening because WebLogic is asking you for the username and password, so you need to say WebLogic and put our password in there. And now the server can actually start. If you remember with the content server, you will see that the content server is now starting, and you will see the components are being loaded here. And if you are watching this directory as well, you will see that content server directories are being created. Let's just pause the recording for a minute so you don't have to sit with me and watch the server starting. We'll come back when it's up and running. Okay, the server is in the running mode now, and as you can see, it created a directory called UCM, and this is our traditional content server directory structure with web layout and vault, and there is our portal HTML in here. This directory did not exist until we started the server for the first time. So after creating the domain, if you'll try to find that directory, and it's not going to be there, don't worry, it will be created for you on the first run. Now we need to start the content server for the first, access the content server for the first time, and that will prompt us to create, to set last minute configuration, the final configuration settings. If we look at the console again, we look at, we just might want to refresh that. Click on the refresh icon here, and it will just to see that the server is up and running now. And it shows running. If you go back to configuration, just to remind you that the server is listening on the port 16,200. So let's just go to that port and we'll access that server. HTTP VPC server port 16,200. That's our content server. You can see the warning at the top. Web layout directory is on the file system with 8.3 semantics, legacy 8.3 file name conflict with revision labels, and you need to disable this. I'll show you in a second how to do this. In the meanwhile, we can log in into the content server. Again, we're using the WebLogic admin user. And this is your first run configuration for the content server. You have cluster node identifier, native repository names, web layout folder. Don't change that. Content server URL prefix is the new server instance. Web address and server instance name. Let's just call it IDC, just so it looks more familiar. Here's your description. Auto number enabled is a familiar setting when you create, when you check new content. This will automatically create content IDs. Auto number prefix. Let's just put EC in here. Full text search option. Let's leave it as none. And you can always later change those settings. And we click on submit to finalize our configuration, and post install configuration is now complete. Please restart this node. What we need to do now is we can go to WebLogic console, click on control, and check the content server, and just say shutdown, and we can do force shutdown now. That will shut down our content server. Let me pause the recording once again, and we'll get back to the machine when I start it again. Our server has now stopped, and before we restart it, let's save our username and password in an encrypted file on the file system, so next time when we start the managed WebLogic instance, managed WebLogic server, we don't have to specify username and password on the command line. Let's browse to the server directory. So we have servers, UCM server 1. We need to create another folder here called security. Just to make sure we didn't misspell it. In the security directory, we need to create a text file. And we call it boot.properties. Boot properties. I need to open that file. Let's open that with Notepad. And it needs to have two lines. User name, in our case is WebLogic, and password is the password that I was specifying during the installation. Not to worry, the username and password will not be kept in clear text. It will be encrypted the first time the server starts. So let's go ahead and start that server. Go into command prompt. Go to the bin directory of the domain. And we say start managed weblogic.cmd and name of our server UCM server UCM underscore server 1, all in lowercase, and it will not be asking us for the password again. It picked up the boot.properties file in here. And UCM server 1 security. That file is now encrypted, so it is safe to leave on disk. Content server is starting. We have the exception here because of the A3 file system is still enabled that we need to disable. I'll show you how to do this if you specifically have that issue. It's just specific to Windows Server. Hopefully you will not get that error, but if you did, it's just a simple one bit change in the registry editor, and you'll need to restart the server. Server started in the running mode, so your server is up and running. We can now go to the content server. We go to VPC server 16200 and it takes us here, and let's log in once again. WebLogic, put our password here. This video has been brought to you by ECM Solutions. ECM Solutions offer tailored, street tough, but at the same time very affordable Oracle UCM education. We allow you to mix and match your topics to your task and the project at hand, so you only pay for the information that you really need and not paying for any fluff and filler material. We can also feed training to your schedule, and we can deliver it in chunks to minimize your impact on your projects. We have instructors who are hands-on and working on the real projects at the real time. I'm actually also delivering the training myself for some of the clients for our best accounts, and we also offer you massive savings when compared to traditional training. When you pay per person per day, we only charge you for instructor's time, so savings can be really significant. You can contact us at contact@talentexperts.com. Thank you for watching.